That's cool echo.
Hey everyone. We have a special guest with us today. Welcome to Call 3. Amy Gomez. She's our EC of Purchasing. She's a specialty OG hanging out with us today and wine lover. So she's going to sniff and swirl and taste through these delicious wines with us. So we're focusing today on white wines, and Allison is going to kick us off.
Sure am.
There you go.
All right. So we have, quick question first. We're not scooted back enough for them to show it unless we hold it up. Are you okay with that?
We'll hold it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. So we're going to edit it out. Okay. So there are three main types of white wine. We have light-bodied, full-bodied, and aromatic. We're going to taste through them in that order. The light-bodied wines, those are known for their refreshing tart flavor. They're usually meant to be enjoyed young, while they have maximum acidity and bold fruit. Because as we know, as wines age, those things start to... So the light-bodied white wines are meant to be enjoyed then. And one thing we're going to go through today with all three of the styles is the winemaking process. And you'll see there's a whole lot of similarities, and there's one or two things that are different per style. For the light-bodied wines, the white grapes are collected and sorted. The bunches are destemmed. The grapes are pressed and separated from skins and seeds. The juice for wine without skins, and that's why we can use red or white grapes, because there's not having the skin contact. And this is what's a differentiator for light wine. The wine is kept in cool storage tanks to settle and stabilize for a short period of time. So it's briefly in the storage tanks. We're not aging at all. And then they're clarified, bottled, and released shortly thereafter. So you're getting them as the customer, fresh, young, bright, acidic, full of bold fruit.
Awesome. So the first wine that we're going to taste today is the Albarino. Some of you are doing El Toronto, some of you are doing Martin Kodak's. So we're going to pass this around. And everyone open up to page 56 of your flavor wheel, because we are going to talk what we taste and what we smell, and a little bit more about wine. So Albarino is typically grown in Spain and Portugal. In Portugal, the wine is pronounced Albarino, so you have a little bit of different phonetics there. Another cool thing about this grape is that it is also used to make Vino Verde, and we know that we sell a ton of Vino Verde. So whenever you are popping open one of those Opalas or Gazellas, that's what you're going to be drinking.
I get good.
So we're going to do a sniff and a swirl.
Definitely, I'm like a basketball cheese.
Okay.
As always, courtesy of Allegro Coffee. And we're going to just kind of start talking through the fruit and the body and the acidity, the alcohol level, like we always do. So I found this to be pretty fruit forward. Lots of citrus. The body is pretty light. Finishes quickly. Bone dry.
A little bit of honeysuckle.
Really great acidity.
All right, we'll start.
So let's talk about those flavors. Like, what are you guys tasting? You got some honeysuckle, some citrus blossom.
Lime zest.
Lime zest for sure.
Yeah, we tried that already.
Yeah, a little bit of lemon peel.
And
And what about some of the secondary flavors? Getting some minerality.
We got lemons, green apple, more lemon, melon, lemon, lime, plenty.
I got the slightest hint of like flint or gravel, just very, very light.
Pinot Gris.
Is it here?
Yeah. Not getting really any tertiary flavors because the wine is not, aged in oak, or I'm really taking a lot from the aging process, since it is a light-bodied wine that doesn't go through a lot of that.
It's all citrus. There's no, normally what happens here, you get like melon.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Any questions about Albarino or the light-bodied white wine making process?
Any questions about the Alomino?
Alvarino, or the
Pinot Gris.
So since there are so many wines in this category, I mean, there are so many types, we're going to always try to keep the tasting between, 6 and 9 wines because that fits the time frame. It's not going to exhaust the palate. It's a good number for daytime tasting. So we're not going to taste every wine that's listed here, but we're gonna taste the ones that we feel are most applicable. But we highly recommend that you guys choose on your own to sample all of the wines that are listed and to really the practices that we do through the little tasting wheel and read the info and taste it with a customer and just continue to educate yourself outside of this call so that you can
Menu here.
get all the knowledge.
This is a great way to do a wine tasting with your team at your next team meeting. Take that couple minutes in front of your team and educate them as the expert.
So we're going to move on to Pinot Gris, which is one of my personal favorites.
The A to Z, Oregon Pinot Gris.
And Pinot Gris is predominantly grown in Italy, the U.S., and in France. A little bit all over, but definitely those are the 3 main areas. And what's cool about this wine is that Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are the exact same grape. And they're vastly different styles the majority of the time. There are lots of different types of Pinot. There's Pinot Blanc, which means that the grape skin is white. There is Pinot Gris, which means that the grape skin is gray / slightly purple. There's Pinot Noir, which is that red, dark black fruit, and then Pinot Meunier, which is also red and dark, but typically makes a white wine as it's blended into champagne.
I want this turned into a slushie. I mastered the frozen margarita on my vacation. My next step is wine. Oh, we're gonna have a little margarita night.
Well, that's super yummy. Of course, I think so because I know I love it. But I love the fruit on this wine. It's so round and juicy. What's great about this style versus a Pinot Grigio style, it has a little bit more to it. This is one of the styles that is a little bit more fruit, just focused on minerality. And when you get into an Italian Grigio, that's when you're going to start to have those flavors, a little bit of minerality, flintiness, very different type of wine. So I encourage you guys to taste a Pinot Grigio and either an Oregon or a French Pinot Gris side by side. Just kind of learn the differences in those 2 types of styles. And what's really awesome about this is that it really teaches you how terroir, the climate, and that soil profile can really change the way the grape tastes, also influenced by the winemaking style. So I think we're tasting some nice fruit, bodied, but a little bit heavier than the one that we just tried.
Continue.
We're proceeding. Issue resolved. I think that this is it's kind of off dry. It's not bone dry. It doesn't suck all the moisture out of your mouth. And the acidity is a little bit softer too. So I think this is just a great wine to just sip on. Of course, it would be great with food too, but I view this as more of a drink wine than a food wine.
It's a porch pounder?
A porch pounder.
If you will. I get some yellow apple.
What are you guys tasting in there? I definitely get that orange blossom. The white flowers come out of this for me. A little bit of pineapple, slightly tropical.
Steve says kiwi.
Kiwi, I love it. I love it.
A hint of ginger.
Are you guys picking up any tertiary flavors here?
I think my congestion is blocking.
I'm getting almond, a little bit of honey. This wine is so great for summertime because, like Allison mentioned, it is a patio pounder.
Patio pounder.
Patio, porch, patio, whatever.
We just have a porch.
I have a patio. So great with light cheeses. This is great to start a meal. Really good for some like flaky white fish on the grill with a little bit of butter. Super simple. I know you guys are really interested in hearing like how these wines would pair with other things, so we're trying to incorporate that in for you all. Anyone have any comments on what they would like to pair this wine with?
I think it has enough acidity that I'd love to pair it with like a really fluffy that Cherry Glen Fresh Chev. Good.
For sure. All right.
Seared scallops.
Ooh,
Love it.
Yeah. Some lemon on those to bring the acidity and the citrus in this wine. It'd be very tasty.
Amy makes a mean seared scallop. I've had them before.
Piccata. Yes.
Amy's house for dinner.
Cool, guys. We're going to move on to the Sauv Blanc. So we have a New Zealand Sauv Blanc here from Oyster Bay. This should be what everyone's tasting, right?
Yeah, everybody should have this Sauv Blanc.
That's what I thought.
I believe the Pinot Gris was the same. Everyone should have had that A to Z Pinot Gris.
Cool. So Sauvignon Blanc, God, the world of Savvy B. Would you love to say that? I'd love to say that.
I do now.
Savvy B.
Savvy B.
Predominantly a French grape grown in New Zealand. There's some American Sauv Blanc as well, but all over France, Bordeaux, the Loire Valley. This grape is super versatile. Probably one of my favorite wines when I first started drinking wine. I went to a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc tasting. It was one of the first professional wine tastings I ever went to. I got tanked because I was not a professional then. But it was so fun, and I learned so much, and I love Sauvignon Blanc because of it. But let's taste it.
Maureen says sunshine and sand.
Yeah. Toad sand at the beach. Faux show.
Shannon says it tastes or it smells like rubbed sage.
Ooh. Herbal? For sure. I get a ton of passion fruit. Oh, I just want to like cut up a passion fruit and eat it right now.
Yeah. And of course, always, I'm sure it's been said like 8 times, always grapefruit with New Zealand Sauv Blanc.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Grapefruit and grass, super grapefruit.
Yeah. Grapefruit indeed.
Grapefruit indeed.
That's a good call out on the sage. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Nice, Shannon.
So lots of fruit, right? Tons of fruit. Super fruit forward. Fruit bomb. Fruit bomb, Savvy.
Is that your rap name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super light, just gone. Definitely dry, but huge acidity. I think what lingers the most for me is that acidity. This would be a fantastic food wine, a fantastic like heavy cheese wine. Anything super creamy that will just kind of like cut right through that fat. Definitely a heavier, like a little bit more oily fish would be really good. Gooseberry. I want to just write sage in here because that was so.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see it.
Yeah. I was very excited when I found it.
Passion fruit. Yum. So I want to encourage you guys to taste Sauvignon Blanc from a couple of different areas, especially in France. If you were to take a New Zealand Sauv Blanc, a Loire Valley Sauv, and then a Bordeaux blend, you're going to see this grape in all of its complexity. In the Loire, you're going to get a little bit more of a rounder flavor. Like the citrus is going to be a little bit more muted, and you're going to get some kind of white flowers that come out. I always find the acidity to be a little bit lighter. It's my personally my favorite style of Sauv Blanc, but it's slightly different than this. So get yourself a bottle, a Puy Fumé or a Sancerre. We have a lot of Touraine Sauvignon Blancs on the core list and in our sets. So those are great things for you guys to just acquaint yourself with. And when it comes to the white Bordeaux or even a California Sauv Blanc, you're going to get more minerality, and some of those kind of earthy characteristics are going to come up. Very, very different. The world of Sauv Blanc is vast, and we picked New Zealand because those are some of our best sellers.
I think Sauv Blanc's one of the easiest grapes to be able to taste the influence of terroir, because it is so vastly different depending on where it's from and the climate, and because it does flourish in so many climates. I think this is a great one when you're trying to understand how does where this grape is grown influence the flavor. This is a fantastic wine, or fantastic grape to try different wines and understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the winemaker has a lot of influence with this as well. You don't see it a ton, but you can definitely like barrel age Sauvignon Blanc and get some like creamy flavors that'll come out into it. Definitely a different style, a little bit more leaning towards fuller bodied than light. But there's so much you can do with this grape. So keep learning and keep tasting.
Yeah. And this, I don't know if anybody remembers we had a sparkling Sauv Blanc on the winter program, which I had never seen before. And that was a sparkling New Zealand Sauv Blanc, and you just taste a lot. Like, it was interesting. It was exactly, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and when I tasted it, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I should have expected.
Yeah, it tastes like Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah. Cool, guys. We're going to move on to the full-bodied whites unless you have any questions about the lights.
All right, doesn't look like we have any questions. So, okay, full-bodied whites are up next. So there's a couple terms we're going to go over in this description and then in the winemaking process that we're then going to dig into a little bit deeper on the next few slides. Excellent. We shall proceed. Okay, so full-bodied whites. They're known for their rich, bold flavors, often aged on their lees or in oak barrels for flavors of cream, vanilla, and butter. So when you hear people talk about buttery, creamy whites, usually we're talking about a full-bodied white. So I want to dig into lees, the word lees. The first time I was talking about aging wine on their lees, I thought they were saying leaves, and I was like, wouldn't that have a totally different flavor? It would, not what we're talking about. So lees, they're the leftover yeast particles from autolysis, which is the self-destruction of yeast cells by enzymes created from fermentation. So a lot of words to say as the fermentation process happens, as the breaks things down, it creates waste, just like any of our bodies do when we process something. And that waste that's left over, those particulates are called lees. When a wine is aged on the lees, the process is called surlie. So you'll see that, S-U-R-L-I-E, referring to a wine that's been made that way, because you know a wine made that way is going to have some of those creamier, more vanilla, buttery flavors to it and that texture. Lees are used in white and sparkling wines to add beneficial textures and flavors. So there's and most commonly, we see Champagne, Muscadet, and Chardonnay that have been aged on the lees to add that, think about like that creaminess that we taste in Champagne or that butteriness in Chardonnay. That's what that's coming from. And then, fun fact, so those of you who are homebrewers out there, you know that the secondary fermentation, the yeast leftover in the secondary fermentation is also called lees, whereas for the first time around is called trub or trub. Shared term there.
Fine. Goodness.
Okay, so process for full-bodied whites. And you're going to notice a lot of these are similar. So white or red wine grapes are collected and sorted, so that's the same. Grape bunches are destemmed, the same. Grapes are pressed and separated from skins and seeds, and the same. Juice ferments into wine without the skins. Then here's where we start to differentiate. The wines are aged in barrels for a period of time. And then during aging, malolactic bacteria converts green appley malic acid into creamy lactic acid. Let's say that again. That wasn't great. During aging, malolactic bacteria converts green appley malic acid into creamy lactic acid. And the wines are clarified, bottled, and released shortly thereafter.
Yes, like lactic acid in cheese production.
Yes. So let's dig into a quick malolactic fermentation as well. Dana was saying that we had some questions about this on our first call. So malolactic fermentation, or MLF, is a winemaking process that gives both red and white wines a richer, creamier texture. So you notice some similarities. There's the similarities to create that creamy texture. MLF is not technically fermentation because it does not use yeast. Instead, it uses a special kind of bacteria called
we can't say the word, but it's O-O-N-E. Yes.
Yeah, O-O-N-E.
Is the shortened version of that. So that's what we're going to say.
It's specific bacteria that does this process.
I think it's
Oeneococcus. O-N-E?
Oeneococcus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oeneococcus. Or O-O-N-E. That's what I'm going to say. So O-O-N-E and a few other lactobacillus strains eat the malic acid and basically poop out the lactic acid. So same kind of thing where we're talking about the leaves being the byproduct of reaction that's happening. Same thing here, just a little bit more specific. Nearly all red wines and some white wines, such as Chardonnay and Viognier, which we're tasting both of today, undergo MLF. And then for both Lees and MLF, we're going to have links, some excellent wine folly articles when we post the PowerPoint that you guys can go and read in more detail. And there's some good graphics as they do to understand how that works.
Yeah, we put the poop out lactic acid in there on purpose because that's what it says in the article. And there was this really cute little bacteria bug like pooping out more acid.
It was a sketch.
We loved it.
Yeah.
We thought you guys would like it too.
Yeah. So you'll get it soon.
So we're going to turn to page 74, and we're going to go straight into the Marsanne blend because we wanted to end on the Chardonnay because we have a nice rich one. We should all be trying the Chapoutier Côte d'Aron Blanc. And again, another one of my favorite types of wine. Marsanne and the grapes that are typically blended with are all usually grown in France. Sometimes, like some of these clones have been brought to the U.S., specifically from Château du Pape. So anytime you're getting a Marsanne or Marsanne blend from California, those were clones that were taken from France, brought over, planted. Happens a lot. You'll see that a lot with Chardonnay as well. Like clones are taken from Burgundy and brought over and planted so that you can capture a little bit of that terroir and bring it over, and then it's influenced in a new way by the terroir in the U.S. Let's swirl and sniff and taste. Wipe off the drips. So yummy. This is definitely a Marsanne Viognier Grenache Blanc blend. Lots of fun things going on in here. This is our first wine that's got a little bit more of that richer mouthfeel. So you're going to feel the weight a little bit longer. Definitely hangs around for a bit. Fruit, I think, is kind of medium. I definitely get some like minerality coming out. Some of those tertiary flavors. Acidity is super mild, but the alcohol I can taste. This one a little bit more going on, a little bit more to it.
I have to sometimes remember when I'm tasting the certain fruits in there, like sometimes if I taste that lemon pith, a little bit more bitter of a citrus taste, that doesn't necessarily mean it's high in acidity. So make sure you're differentiating that when you taste it. Acidity is about that mouthfeel versus that flavor presence.
People are saying melon and cream, green apple, oak, citrus, finish smooth, creamy, apple, vanilla, honeysuckle.
I get a little bit of that pepper crust.
I definitely get some honey. It's got some creaminess, a sweeter lemon. So the Meyer lemon right there is right on for me. Definitely floral. That's I think coming out from the Viognier that's in the wine. A little bit of honeysuckle, daffodil. Sour Patch Kids. Wow, you're getting a lot of citrus off that. That's cool.
Okay, you're good. Go ahead. Wow. We're still recording.
And Allie, you're not going to edit this out.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Allie edit outs all of our fun.
I leave fun.
All right, guys. Next wine. Dump it out. We're going to move on to Viognier. Everyone should be tasting the wine, correct? Or no, PA has a Chenin VO, right?
I believe
The Pine
so.
Ridge?
Yeah.
All right, so PA, what you're going to be experiencing is a little bit different, but that's okay, because we're going to taste Chenin Blanc next. But really try and focus on what you're tasting and pair it up with a flavor wheel to really try to isolate tasting from the Viognier versus the Chenin Blanc. So we're on 78 in the book so that you guys can highlight your wheel. Viognier is predominantly grown in France. There's also a ton of Viognier in Australia and a little bit grown in the US. Almost all of the French Viognier is coming from the Rhone and the Languedoc. Australia is hanging out there in the Barossa Valley. And in the US, it's definitely coming from the coast. I need a new spit cup. So I'm getting some peachiness,
Apricot.
apricot, peach, a little mango. Think about the texture of this wine. How does this wine feel in your mouth? A little waxy, a little oily. Those are characteristics that come from that malolactic fermentation Allison was just talking about.
I don't think I said this when we were talking about amylase and the malolactic fermentation. Often you feel that effect right in the middle of your tongue. So there you go. So pay attention to where it's hitting you in the mouth, because that can help you if you were blind tasting and trying to figure out what something was. All of those little details are really important, and we'll understand what it is that's in your glass.
All right, folks are saying almost no acidity, minty, eucalyptus, honeydew and mild spice, creamy, melon, massive peach, and rose slick mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Slick. Yeah.
You guys are getting it. You're getting it.
Yeah.
I think too, with this wine, we don't sell very much Viognier. I think it's a really underappreciated grape. We don't have a lot of SKUs, available out there. And it's something that I feel like I would really like to change, because I think that Chardonnay drinkers can really appreciate a Viognier. I'm not typically a Chardonnay drinker, but anytime I should drink Chardonnay, I always end up drinking Viognier because it has a lot of those feelings on the palate, and it pairs with food in a very similar way. But I don't like that heavy oak that's typically on a Chardonnay, just personal preference. And this doesn't have that, but you still get those kind of malolactic characteristics. It's definitely a heavier wine. It kind of holds its weight, when you're eating. So I love it. So next time someone is asking you for a Chard, try to sell them a Viognier so that we can authorize more Viogniers for you to sell, because we have to make driven decisions sometimes.
They're quite prominent in Virginia, actually.
They are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got a bunch of. We should look into expanding that for Virginia.
Yeah.
We are intending to have a local Virginia wine set in our Tyson store.
Our new Tyson store.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that. We're partnering with our team in Charlottesville actually to do some procuring. And yeah, we're excited. So there'll be some more local selections coming for you all. Any questions before we move on to Chard?
I meant to say this at the beginning of the call. Do you have a question? You can go first.
Nope.
I was going to say, one of the reasons I was so excited for this call in particular is I think people think that they hate white wines because whether or not someone likes Chardonnay usually dictates whether or not someone thinks they like white wines, because Chardonnay is very prominent and readily available. And oftentimes if there's a white available for something, it's going to be a Chardonnay. But there's so much more to white wine than that. There is Chardonnay that's buttery and oaky, but there's also the light and super acidic wines that like we've tasted. And then there's going to be the aromatic ones we transition into. So there is such a broad world of taste and acidity in white wine. I think it's really important that we know that and understand that so we can help our customers then that might not realize what they do and don't know.
On to La Crema Chardonnay, our best-selling Chardonnay. Let's find out why. Okay, so we're going back a couple pages. 72 Chardonnays on page 70. Majority of Chardonnay is grown in France and the U.S. Decent amount in Australia, but kind of all over. So sturdy grape, grows well in lots of different climates under lots of different conditions. Gosh, you can just smell the mallow in this wine the second you stick your nose in it. Yeah, you can smell the oak, you can smell the butter, you can smell the vanilla.
I get some of that burnt caramel. Or maybe toffee. I can't tell which one it is. A little bit of one of those.
The crema smells like wood, note, cloves, nutmeg, amaretto. Jacob
Amaretto.
says, hello, oak.
Hello.
Hello. Oh,
Hello, oak.
Pie crust, buttery pie crust. So that's delicious. CTR and Springhouse are thinking about pie crust.
Okay. Feeling. You get it, you feel it, coats your tongue, all over your cheeks, behind your lips. Oily, fatty, waxy, malolactic fermentation.
Smell like the bakery.
Does smell like a bakery. Acidity is pretty low on this one. This wine is not as dry as I expected it to be. I think it's got almost a hint of sweetness. Creme brulee, burnt caramel, toffee, pie crust, vanilla, butter.
Butter, peach cobbler, and cinnamon.
Yeah. Definitely peachy. So when we talk about Chardonnay and where it's from, and we'll just really talk about French and American Chardonnay. When we get into the French region, we'll definitely kind of refer back to this and talk about what we tasted in American Chardonnay and how that French Chardonnay differs. You're definitely going to get a little bit more fruit off of a French Chardonnay, and we're getting a lot of those like buttery, nutty, toasty characteristics off this domestic one, and a lot of that is driven by the oak. French oak imparts a much more mild flavor than American oak, and American oak really is like heavy with vanilla, and you know that mallow is where you're getting all of that butter. So it's totally driven by winemaking style, the type of wood that wine is being aged in, and climate. California climate is a little bit warmer, and you're going to get more kind of like extraction with less hanging time on the grape. When you have a colder climate, those grapes are going to stay there a little bit longer, and you're going to develop a little bit more acidity, and that's going to just change the way everything feels. So it'll be exciting to taste that later and refer back.
Jeremy wants to know if we will be touching on stainless steel aging, or is he getting ahead?
We will definitely be touching on stainless steel aging. Don't feel bad about getting ahead. But when we do France, we're 100% going to do a Chablis and that tasting lineup, so that you guys can taste a stainless steel fermented Chardonnay. And we'll also have an oaked Chardonnay from France as well. So that's where we'll really kind of get into those differences of what the wood really makes the wine taste like, versus being just very true to the grape.
And kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, where we were saying we're only trying, 3 wines per style. Now that you're learning, like as we go over how to taste these things and what we're tasting for, that's another example of, taste the same grape or the same wine in a slightly different style. So, taste the Pinot Gris next to Pinot Grigio, taste the oak Chardonnay next to the unoaked Chardonnay.
Chardonnay
Go ahead. Interrupt you.
No worries. Chardonnay is the most widely planted grape. It really grows everywhere. Like we were saying earlier, it's an easy grape to grow. That's why there's so much of it. And you either love it or hate it. So make your choice.
This is representative of what I don't like about oak Chardonnay.
Yeah.
It's like embodies exactly why I don't like oak Chardonnay.
Yeah, same. We have some Chardonnay haters up in here. But we do this. We do this for you guys. All right. Any questions about the full-bodied whites before we move on to aromatics? All right, Allison, take it away.
All right. For our last white category today, we have the aromatic whites. So these are highly perfumed and sweet with sweet fruit aromas. The taste, though, ranges from dry to sweet. So even though we have that heavy perfumed and fruit aroma, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be sweet. It can be dry too. These styles of wines are ideal for Indian and Asian food because they pair really well with sweet and sour flavors. They help quench spicy sauce. I usually drink a lot of aromatic whites because I eat a lot of spicy food. So this is a good category for me.
We are aromatic white wine fans.
For different reasons. Okay.
All right, we're going to start off with the Château de Montport Vouvray. Vouvray is a region in the Loire Valley in France that is Chenin Blanc.
And while you're pouring, let's talk about the winemaking process for the aromatic wines. So again, we're going to see a lot of these things that are the same as before. We start with the white wine grapes. They're collected and sorted. And then grape bunches are destemmed. Grapes are pressed and separated from skins and seeds. And then the juice begins to ferment without the skin. So it's a shorter fermentation process here. Then the fermentation is stopped before all the sugar has been fermented. So that's a big difference from the other two, where the other two kind of synced up in that way. This stops a little bit early. Wine is kept cool in storage tanks to settle and stabilize for a short period of time. And then just like all the other ones, it's clarified, bottled, and released shortly thereafter. So it's a faster release. It's not aged to the extent that even its fermentation is stopped earlier than the other styles.
So most of the Chenin Blanc in the world is grown in South Africa, actually, because of brandy production. But a ton of it is grown in France as well, predominantly in the Loire Valley. And Chenin Blanc can be used to make sparkling wine as well. So all of the sparkling that comes from the Loire is made from Chenin Blanc.
Like that de Champagner.
Yeah. And there are a couple different styles of Chenin Blanc too. The one that we're tasting right now is that demi-sec style. So you're going to get a lot of like peaches and white flowers, and then it can also be done in a very zesty, lemony, mineralistic style, which is what you're going to see in South Africa.
And I'm sure you noticed, David said we're trying a Vouvray, and we talked about the Chenin Blanc grape. It's kind of like Sauternes versus what's grown in Sauternes. Vouvray is the Chenin Blanc grape that's from that region.
Yes.
So it's because it's old world, it's getting that region-specific name as opposed to a varietal-specific name.
Correct. What do you guys taste in? Lots of fruit, lots of flowers. Definitely jasmine, honeysuckle, citrus blossom. a little bit of honeydew, a little bit of pineapple.
Okay. Orange blossom. I can't keep up. Very floral. That's sweet as heck. Lychee, I don't actually know how to pronounce that. Floral fruit and fun.
I don't want to spit this one out. It's really paining me to do so. But you have to.
Jasmine, honey, marzipan, pear, lime, pineapple.
Yeah. Yeah. I really
good.
liked when someone was like, it just sweet as heck. It's only maybe like a little bit sweet, but because everything that we've drank today is so dry, this does taste really sweet. If we hadn't tasted all of those wines before and you would have just tasted this straight up, you probably wouldn't think so. So I challenge you to go back and drink this another day when you haven't been comparing it to some other things.
Or when you sample it to customers later this afternoon, just taste and spit it and see how it's in your palate.
Swish the water all around, clean it up.
Sean from Wexford says, fruit forward but not sweet.
Yes. Great. Totes. All right. You want to pour this one? So good.
Sour salt.
So we're going to skip over to Riesling, page 88. And Riesling is another wine that I think is super underappreciated. There is a small little group of people that get really geeked out about Riesling. I'm one of those people. But most people give it the time of day because they've only had Chateau Ste. Michelle Late Harvest Riesling. And, they just think it tastes like syrup. And that one does, for sure. But not everyone does. So be open-minded.
And for this one, we're tasting two different Rieslings. Pennsylvania, Maryland, I think just you two are tasting the Clean Slate Riesling. And then everybody else tasting the Romerhof Riesling. These are both German Rieslings.
Gosh, this smells so good. I want to take a bath in it. Annie's over here trying to hold in her laughs. It's okay. You can laugh at me. I'm funny.
I just need to be more creative. I usually say I want to drink a lot of it. Clearly, I need to be bathing in things.
You
I don't
need to
know.
be bathing in things. If you're not bathing in it, it's not good. This Riesling is grown in Germany, Austria, the U.S., specifically Washington State, New York. There's some great stuff coming out of Australia as well. But Germany is the pride and joy of the Riesling world. And we're going to talk through the different levels of sweetness or ripeness of German Riesling. I really love to say words because my partner speaks German and I don't. I only say wine words in German. So I feel really cool when I can talk to him about German.
I was deferring to you in all of the German words. I haven't said anything in German yet.
So the driest style of German Riesling is Trocken. And these are, wines that have the least amounts, or let me roll it back, make sure I'm saying it right, because I feel like I'm going to mix it up. The most amount of sugar is converted to alcohol. Yeah, see, I know I was going to say it backwards. This is not a Trocken. This is a Cabinet.
We have a lot of people talking about slate. It smells like slate. Mineral. Smells like rainy day sidewalk.
Rainy day sidewalk. I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
Somebody's been outside smelling things after the rain. Good job.
Excellent. This is how you learn how to
really is.
talk about wine. You
really is.
Smell the grass and you eat the dirt. For real.
Get your tetanus shot.
Anyway, so going up in those levels of ripeness, and we're seeing Fienerb, which you really don't see very often. It's just really not imported very much. So unless you're hanging out in Germany, which is cool, do that. You're probably not gonna see it. And then you go up to what we're currently drinking, which is a Cabinet, and that is a little bit more juicy, a little bit more fruit forward. Definitely like a tiny bit of residual sugar in there. You'll then go up to Halbtrocken, which is the 4th level. And then you'll go up to Spatlese and Auslese, Bernauslese, and then Trocken Bernauslese. And on what's not listed on here is ice wine, which we talked about during our dessert wine section, and that's where this wine originated from. Again, made with frozen grapes. So the longer the grapes hang on the vine, the more concentrated the fruit and the sugar gets, and that's how these wines are made. It's all based on timing of how long the wine or the grapes stay on the vines before they're picked and pressed and fermented. What do you all think? You all gonna give Riesling a chance?
Lots of good descriptors. Cherry candy, wet rocks, green apple, pear, mango, petrol, richness, minerality, Burt's Bees and cherry, little dank cellar.
Damp cellar? Maybe they said dank.
It says dank. I don't know what the last, maybe cellar. Okay, dank cellar. Little dank cellar, sure.
Yeah, okay.
That's up here.
Awesome.
I love Riesling.
Me too.
I love Riesling. Once I realized that it wasn't all like sweet sugar bombs, I was
Sugar
like,
shack.
this stuff's really good.
Yep, totally. I eat a lot of Thai food, and I drink a lot of Riesling with a lot of Thai food. So, it works. All right.
I do like Gewürz.
Gewürz, great with turkey. We'll talk about that during the holidays.
Yes.
All right, guys. Last wine of the day. We are going to move on to Tarantas, which is such a fun little wine.
We have a whole bunch of Tarantas we're drinking today because the availability is kind of all over the place. So,
Tarantas is only grown in Argentina because it is a grape that is indigenous to there. It is a clone of Muscat, so you will see some really cool Muscat flavors in there. Aromas in there is what I meant to say. Flowery. Ooh.
Floral, herbal, spicy pear, celery.
Celery. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Asian pear, totally Asian pear. I agree.
kind of like saline on the nose. Like it smells like when I walk outside the house on like a hot day and you smell like that salt water evaporating.
And the wine that we are tasting, I was actually very disappointed in the nose. I just really kind of only smell alcohol.
Really?
However,
I got it before I started swirling. As I swirled it petered out pretty quickly.
Not like in the nose on this one, but the flavor is good after it finishes. You get that tropical white flower stuff all the way. If anyone out there is drinking Crios Tarantas, lucky you. It's super yum. We couldn't find it when we were getting it. Fair Lakes, buy it.
Yeah.
Put it on the shelf.
I think it's core. I think it was just not a stock issue. Yeah. We should definitely all have that one.
I'm just picking on you, Fair Lakes. Love you. Love you.
I was even going to throw them under the bus. Hello.
All right, little bit of geranium, saline, and dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit, white or pink? I'm being a jerk.
I don't know which one do you bathe in. I definitely got that geranium. It made me want to go home and plant my garden.
Around your patio or your porch?
I have a porch. Yeah, I believe you have a patio though. That's what I heard. Rumor has it.
This wine is also made in a couple different styles. It's made in a bone dry style and an off dry style. That's typically driven by the region and the climate, or the area of the region and the climate. Those more fruit-forward styles are from Mendoza, which has some warmer climate. So I think that's all we got with Tarantes.
Yeah.
Any questions about this?
Tarantes is great in that it's usually a very inexpensive bottle too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great one to have on your porch / patio.
Yes. Also a great wine to turn people onto if they are looking for a Riesling or a Moscato or something like that. Maybe they're looking for something super fruit forward but not always sweet. Usually you just get such beautiful floral and fruity aromatics off of this wine that when someone smells it, they're so excited to drink it. Again, like I said, disappointed with the nose and the one I'm tasting today. So if you're tasting that one, it's usually not typical. But it's a really fun wine to introduce customers to. I think it usually gets people happy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, open for questions. We're coming to the end of our time.
I want to know if we changed anyone's mind on white wine.
Do we change our mind on white? Who likes white wine? You all know that I prefer white wine buzz. Allie quoted me one day, actually.
Amanda says that her mind has changed on white wine.
Yes.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Especially Chardonnay. Chris says he's converted.
Good.
Wonderful.
I like white wine too.
It's fun. I certainly didn't think I liked white wine when I started drinking wine. I liked big reds and Italian. There were a lot of those. But
Product of her environment.
Yeah, that's exactly. Nature and nurture. But there's beautiful. There are beautiful white wine and they're delicious and so versatile because of that variety you see in aromatics and flavor and body and all of those things.
Oh, Jeremy says, I adore the porch patio thing. May I borrow that?
Do it.
Absolutely.
It's yours.
Porch.
Way back.
I want to know which one you have because I'm only endorsing.
Porch or patio?
I have a deck.
Okay.
Okay.
That might be probably a porch.
All right, we have a question.
Yeah.
Would temperature of the wine affect flavor?
Yes,
Absolutely.
it does for sure. Usually when the colder a wine is, the more it covers up any sort of flaw in the wine. So if you're drinking something kind of cheap and maybe not from the best producer, you're going to want to put that baby on ice and slurp it down. But if you're drinking something from a world-renowned producer, maybe you spent a little bit more money on it, definitely chill it down, but don't get it ice cold. And you're going to really taste the flavors as they progress and open up, and you'll have a different experience. So yes, the temperature of the wine changes how the wine tastes.
And that's another fun thing as you're tasting to try, taste and see. Pour a little glass of something before you put it in the fridge and cover it up. And then, chill your bottle down and taste it at room temperature and taste it cold and see what's different there because it's very different in the nose as well. Just like hot soup, you smell it more than you might smell it cold. That's the same thing, just on a lower temperature scale with wine.
Michael wants to know what the best wine is for stoop sipping.
Stoop sipping.
Oh, I think that comes in a Tetra Pak. Yeah.
We will say something we're going to launch really soon forever.
Yes.
We're going to launch the Better Wine Company's wine spritzers. Those are stoop sippers. Yeah.
Stoop spritzers?
Stoop spritzers.
Wine spritzers for stoop sippers.
Yeah. They're the
What?
I was trying to remember. I can't pronounce.
Oh, piquette style.
There we go.
Yes.
I wanted to say picante. That's not right.
Coming soon to Whole Foods, Whole Foods Market area.
We're leaving that in.
Required merchandising on Cheesecake. I encourage Allie not to take out our silliness. I really do. I don't filter it for you all. This is who I am. This is what you get.
Any other questions?
Will those Better Wine Company wines be available in PA?
We are starting with the launch in DC and Virginia initially because they are local to that metro. And then we have been talking with them about rolling out from there. We have distribution lined up, I believe, next for Ohio. And then after that, we're looking at the possibility of Kentucky and PA. But we're going to start, just like with any local product, we're going to start local to their market.
Yes. We think Ohio is going to come quickly, and we actually do have really high hopes for PA, so we'll keep you posted. Any other questions?
What is the bacteria in Chardonnay?
Oh, that O word?
O-E-N-I. That's how you spell it.
E.
Like, wine. It's a prefix for wine. Enophile.
Oh.
See, Allie
Where were
is a
you beforehand?
scientist.
Trying not to say that.
Where were you
Whatever.
when we were butchering the bacteria?
Oh, Yeah. Well, there you go.
We're not embarrassed.
No.
This is why we keep
I
Allie
shared my
around.
story about thinking wine was aged on leaves. Learning. It's important.
What else, guys? Anything else that you want to know about? Okay. Well, we'll give you a couple minutes back here today. Thank you all for tasting with us. Get these out to your customers next to sell some wine. Cheers.
Great Easter wines, all of them.